The San Diego Prep Insiders Basketball Podcast is powered by Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Aaron.
What's up?
Got to put the Twitter down for a second because we got a basketball game to talk about.
Oh.
We got an Open Division Finals basketball game to talk about. We've got the crowning glory of San Diego high school basketball going on this weekend.
Yes!
Do I get to do it?
No.
Do I get to?
Oh my God.
And just like that, all of our credibility is gone.
Yeah.
Christian Pedersen, Aaron Bergen,
Hey, guys.
here to talk about the Open Division Boys Basketball Finals for SD Prep Insider.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm looking down at my notes. I know what's going on in this one.
Throw it away.
Mission Bay, which shout out to the Union Tribune for writing a pretty snappy headline about that one when Mission Bay leaves a tip at the Olive Garden. If Matthew wrote that, props. Whoever did, props. Your English degree is finally paying off. On the flip side, Foothills Christian, a team that we've seen them in big games for a couple of years now, and Tayshawn Cherry back to where he was at in another finals. So
This is round 3 of this game. I mean, I can't get enough of this matchup.
exactly. So just to break you down, Mission Bay wins the first one.
Going away.
Foothills wins the second one in
In
overtime,
an instant classic
but at Mission Bay.
at Mission Bay.
So why not play a best of 3? Why not
Love it.
run
Love
it
it.
back?
Love
Run
it.
it back. This is the game that San Diego needs to finish off this season. You can make so many subplots of public versus private. You know, you always love digging into the energy and the enthusiasm and the drama that is Tayshawn's plot line in terms of San Diego high school basketball.
I thought you were going to say the energy and drama that is Marshawn Cherry.
But then, yeah.
What's up,
you know,
Marshawn? Holla at your boy.
You know, we have Coach Leaf ends last year's season in a fiery
Frenzy.
like
Chasing a referee down, getting suspended, not coaching the state playoff game, losing on the buzzer, Jalen's career. He's
Yeah.
at UCLA. Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack, and then even beyond that, you can talk about both of these teams having so many juniors and sophomores on the team that this could be setting up for a rematch in next year's finals. Don't even need to go that far yet.
Yeah,
but,
we could have
but
Rocky 4, 5, 6.
Exactly.
Rocky
That's
Balboa,
where we are
Creed.
just.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, this is an exciting game on so many different levels. But let's just take this. Let's talk about the physical X's and O's on the court. Let's push all of the energy to the back burner. We'll talk about that on the tail end of the podcast. Right now, though, just let's kind of go down that 1 through 5 matchup of how you see this playing out. And let's make a case for both these teams because we both can.
Well, I mean, the case for Mission Bay, obviously, everything runs through Boogie Ellis, who has established himself as the top junior prospect in San Diego and probably arguably the top point guard prospect on the West Coast in that 2019 class. It's everything kind of runs through him, but the supporting cast they're no slouches. Jay Norton has had a breakout season. Ronnie Ladding, arguably the strongest player in the San Diego section, best rebounder in the San Diego section.
Like physically strongest player. Yes.
Andre Scott, Savon Davis, a sophomore, Michael Barcia coming off the bench in his junior year. You know, this is a team that we talked about that is the team of the future, but the future is now, and the future has rapidly, come upon us. Foothills Christian, starting with very strong guard play, Yassine Garam, Jaron Nafaretti, another battle-tested guy who's been here 3 times over. This is his junior year, been there the first 2 years. Tayshawn Cherry, we've talked about ad nauseum. Derek Carter Hollinger, breakout year,
I'm done with you saying that he's just coming on the scene.
No, I'm not saying he's just coming on the scene. This is a breakout at a national level.
Yeah, there's a difference between winning an O'Farrell championship and being an Open Division solidified superstar. I understand that. But just so you know, we were there.
We've been there. Dorian Blue, a junior who has been through some battles with first over at Lutheran. Now he's here. This is a kid that can shoot you in and out of games. So now we talk about the X's and O's breakdown. We've seen this matchup before. We've seen Mission Bay be very physical with Foothills Christian on the defensive end. We've seen Foothills Christian sit into a zone and dare guys to beat them from the outside that are not named Boogie Ellis. And I think that is basically what we're going to see again. We're going to see Mission Bay trying to be physical with Tayshaun Cherry, being physical with Derek Carter-Hollinger, being physical with their guards. We're going to see Foothills Christian sit in that long 2-3 zone, try to get the ball out of Ellis's hands. Jaron Nafaretti doing his best job of cutting off those driving lanes, against Boogie Ellis, which he did a really good job at. And we've seen the results of that. We've seen where if Mission Bay if other guys are hitting shots, they're tough. But if they limit the support, if Foothills Christian limits that supporting cast, they've got a puncher's chance, and they've got a near All-American in Tayshaun Cherry who can hit shots in big moments. Antics aside, the kid can play. So I'm not ready to make the prediction yet. I want to hear what you have to say about this matchup.
Well, to me, this is a little bit of brute force versus finesse. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of, like really you said, of Mission Bay plays a very, on both ends, offensively and defensively, they play a 1990s Detroit Pistons.
It's a grindhouse.
Yeah, they play a Bill
80s Pistons.
Yeah, Bill Lambier would have approved of this Mission Bay team. Yes. They will go toe to toe with the freaking Monstars from Space Jam if they have to, and they won't back down. Like, you look in the physical demeanor of this team, and they will dare you to just come in to the paint and try and make it happen. On the other side, Foothills Christian, they are a finesse team. You talked about Jaron. That kid can make anything happen with a ball. Yassine Graham can dish it anywhere. Tayshaun Cherry can generate his own offense whenever he needs it. Derek, you start listing a lot of people that are ball scorers, and then on the other side, you talk about it kind of has to get focused through Boogie. That being said, both of these teams execute on a very successful level. So it is not, Mission Bay bullied their way through a weaker side of the bracket to get here, and Foothills had the real challenge. Both of these teams played very difficult, low scoring against Vista, higher scoring against Torrey Pines. Foothills kind of blasted San Marcos, and
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, sorry. They blasted St. Augustine. Then they took down a Mater Dei team that I thought had a very impressive win against San Marcos. Mater Dei made it close, kept it close. Foothills ended up just controlling it at the very end, though, as a team that is in the Open Division would. And so, when you try to sneak through all of that, to me, the physicality wins out just a little bit. Because you go to a situation where when you're not worried anymore about another game, and I know you can say state, you can say what, but everyone wants that CIF San Diego championship. So when you're not worried about that anymore, I think you say to Ronnie and people like that, go get physical with Tayshaun, draw him in, try to get fouls, and if not, just smack him. Just not, I'm not encouraging violence, but I'm just saying, you look at the history, and I have literally seen
Cobra.
Look, I've seen Tayshaun
sweep the leg.
I've seen Tayshaun bleed on a court, at the Cathedral Catholic Holy War 2 years ago. Tayshaun's head got cut. This is a kid that invites the physical. He likes the physical. He likes to go after. He doesn't shy away from a challenge. So I think when he gets challenged by a physical Mission Bay team, you'll see these two teams going at it. They will go in the paint and they will go toe to toe, and this will be a Muhammad Ali heavyweight fight. That being said, I think that you then look at the other side, like you said, they will dare people other than Boogie to take shots. They will try to force this, and that's where my question comes in, is does Mission Bay have an offensive answer? They can do all they want in the world about slowing down Foothills Christian's offense, but eventually Foothills is going to find ways to score. So my question is, does the offense have enough to parlay the defense? I just don't know if Mission Bay's offense has enough.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think that, they went into the Olive Garden and got one of the more impressive wins you'll see. And Boogie Ellis had 35 of those, 66 points. That means that the rest of the supporting cast, had
equal to Boogie.
Yeah. So, I don't think that flies in this Foothills Christian game. That can't happen. Foothills needs Jay Norton to have one of those 16 to 18 point games and Ronnie to have a 10 point, 16 rebound. Yeah, Mission Bay needs that.
Foothills does not need that. Foothills don't.
So in my prediction, I picked Foothills to win the Open Division, and I'm sticking with it. I think that when push comes to shove, they have one more weapon on offense than Mission Bay does. And I think that, whoever that one weapon is, whether it's Derek Carter Hollinger has a monster game, whether Dorian Blue corks out another 6 3-point game, which he did at the Battle at the Bay, whether it's Yassine who, rather than being the facilitator, becomes a scorer himself, whether it's Jaren that generates baskets in transition, or whether it's Tayshaun, doing his thing. I think that they just have one more weapon, and they eke out a slim, narrow victory at Viejas on Friday.
And in that exact same breath, you could make the same argument for Mission Bay. Like this is one that
you want to know. Define parity here. Look at this. You could make an argument that Vista could have been in this very same moment, or Torrey Pines could be in this very same moment, or on that side of the bracket. 4 points separated Mission Bay, from their 2 losses. I mean, it's incredible the amount of parity that we've seen this year at the highest of levels. 7 and 8, maybe not so much. I mean, we saw La Jolla Country Day, and we saw Mission St. Augustine get exposed a little bit at the bottom half. But that's both
of those are teams that are playing for next year.
Exactly.
For 2020.
Exactly. So I mean, it's incredible the amount of parity that we've seen this year. And you're right. I could make that very same argument for Mission Bay in this game. It's incredible.
I'm going to say the big determining factor of this game comes down to foul trouble. I think that with how physical I see this game, to me, the first team to have to sit somebody is going to be the team that blinks, and they're going to lose. Is how quickly can you get Boogie or Ronnie or someone on that side to get 3 fouls, or how quickly can you draw Tayshaun or Yassine or DJ Carter Hollinger into 3 fouls? Like one of those teams, there's no way this just ends up being a clean game. Not to say that these teams are going to play dirty, but there's no way that this ends up being give them plenty of space to shoot. Give them plenty of space to shoot.
Who are you picking?
I'll pick Foothills.
Okay.
In, as you said, the 2 to 4 point win.
This is just really, really close.
Yeah.
One possession separates these teams.
I'll say this. Let me say this with the caveat of I think whoever has the ball last wins.
I like that.
I say whoever finishes with the ball wins the game. It would not surprise me if this one's tied going into the last 30 seconds, and it's just whoever gets it's on the front half of the game, whoever has to blink first with fouls. On the back half of the game, whoever has to hold on to the ball last wins. I think that Foothills ekes it out, but we've hit it over the head that this is the most ad nauseumly parody similar flip side game. This is more than SFC El Camino, more than the Carlsbad Mount Miguel, more than any of those games where we tried to do the double blind, just look at the numbers test. You just cannot differentiate these two teams in terms of who can win, who can lose.
I'm just looking forward to next week when both these teams get an opportunity to make noise in the state open division.
It does give you collectively that you breathe that sigh of relief going, okay, this is not a year, and no disrespect to previous champions of a TJ Leaf or of those kind of caliber, but you looked at some of the previous open divisions and you go, all right, well, that's the foregone conclusion that that's our winner, and we're all sort of playing for who can else represent. You just listed off 4 teams between Vista, Torrey, Mission Bay, and Foothills. As you added in at the end of San Marcos and Modern Day, exactly. We're talking about 6 teams in open division that are going to represent San Diego really, really well. And we will talk about that, though,
next week
afterwards.
Yes.
Right now, we got to get to this game.
Yes.
Friday night,
yep.
7 p.m., 8 p.m.,
yep.
one of those
yep.
at SDSU. We will be there. Mr. CPED, Full-Time Hoops One. The show is SD Prep Insider. You can follow us on our Instagram story for live updates from the game. Post-game, we will have interviews, highlights, podcasts, breakdown. Either we'll both be right, we'll both be wrong, or both of us will be replaced by one of the two head coaches. We'll just either Brad Leaf or Coach Chair or
Marshawn will be here.
We've had Marshawn on the podcast already, but Marshawn just might grab the mic and take over and podcast by himself, because this is just it. It's going to be crazy. We're out of time. The little red light is blinking. We will see you at the finals. Sports fans, thank you so much for supporting us all season long.
Thank you, guys. Really do appreciate it.
Talk to you later.